Welcome to Podtendo's Legend of Zelda Retrospective. We are going to be primarily looking at Majora's Mask during these next few shows. We are going to be doing a deep dive into thematical elements, gameplay, and the design of this game. Enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back to Podtendo's Legend of Zelda Retrospective. We finished Ocarina of Time on our last episode. Ooh, it was a love letter if I ever heard one myself. Now we're on to a new game, which does it deserve our respect? We're going to find out, because we're diving into a whole new little series for the second half of the Majora's Mask. I am Mick. I'm joined every episode by my lovely and talented co-host,
Tyson.
Good stuff. ETL. It's fun, you know?
Yes, I think we got a good one on our hands today. I mean, I think this game is highly underrated, but it has a few hiccups, so I get where a lot of the frustration can come in.
Yeah. So we're going to do like a really slow dive. We kind of almost want to like pull the band-aid off, play through the whole game in one adventure, but we're going to like take our time, just like we did in the last one, really enjoy things. So welcome to Podtendo's Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask Retrospective. We are going to do a deep dive into the thematical elements, gameplay, game design, and the characters that have helped one of the most challenging narratives in any Zelda game. We're going to spoil the adventure, so if you haven't experienced this game, or it's been a while, go play it before king, or play along with us over the course of the year. Yes, that's right, a whole year. We're picking apart Majora's Mask. We picked apart Ocarina of Time, and now it's Majora's Mask's time to face the music. We're going to tear this game apart over the next few months, and we want you to all be along for the journey into this industry-changing experience. Unlike Ocarina, Majora tends to be a bit more of like a cult hit. True Zelda fans will claim it as superior. It is now up to us to give it a fair chance and critically break down Majora's Mask and succeeds its predecessor. Break down where Majora Mask fails and succeeds compared to its predecessor. I figured it out. In our first episode, we're going to look at the pop cultural landscape. Look when this game came out. We will share our first experiences. We're going to play a little bit of the game through the kind of the first area level, and then we're going to finish with a battle royale. So now that I did some awkward, I sped up my pace a little bit in my voice, obviously, because we're kicking up the energy. I stumbled over some sentences. Now we're into it. So I think we're just going to do a deep dive. I don't know why I don't have like all the elements of who made this, how many things it sold. Maybe that shows up in the next one. All right, cool.
Could probably spread it out. But yeah, no, very good one. I mean, one of the rare occasions where we get two Zelda games released on one console. Like, I mean, in this day and age, that's almost unheard of. Very cool. I think that these two games lend to a great comparison, but also they compare very interesting to the first and second from the original, or on the original Nintendo. So I think that we have lots to dive into, and yeah, this game obviously, this game's going to be interesting. I can't wait.
Awesome. Before we get into it, we got to do it, guys. I think the development detail comes next episode, because I think I started on those notes maybe just ever so slightly, but we got to get through these notes first. So we're going to start with our patented Wayback Machine. Look what the pop culture landscape looks like when this game came out, because we've got to do it, because that's what we do on this show. Then we'll get into it. So it's exciting stuff. So Wayback Machine, October 26, 2000. We're living it up in the year 2000. So we start out by asking Tyson, what is your favorite show? And we'll ask the question, do we want to live there? So in The Simpsons, it was Season 12, Episode 1, Treehouse of Horror 11. We get Ghost Dad, where Homer is a ghost. Scary Tales can come true. Bart and Lisa are Hansel and Gretel. And Night of the Dolphins, where dolphins attack. All right. Or Futurama, Season 2, Episode 17, War is the H Word. Brian Bender enlists in Earth's army. Leela shows up, and they have to fight Ball Alien.
You can clearly see Futurama is absolutely just like starting to become peak grade A material. One of the smartest, best written shows of all time. So freaking good. Like, I mean, anything that can make a joke about balls bouncing for like 15 minutes, you come on. Yeah. Like, that is impressive. But in comparison, we have a Simpsons Halloween episode, which is usually their stronger ones, from, season 12, so not a terrible season. But we have Ghost Dad, which is a bad joke on a Bill Cosby movie. Yep. And then Bart and Lisa are Hansel and Gretel, which doesn't really have anything to do with sort of scary things. Like, I guess maybe Hansel and Gretel are scary. It's more folk
Hey, if you were Hansel and Gretel
tales.
and a witch tried to eat you, that'd be fucking scary. Come on.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, you're just not strong. I know that these stories tend to be slotted into some of their other anthologies, so maybe not a great fit for Halloween. And then we have Night of the Dolphin, where dolphins attack because Lisa decides to save a dolphin. So again, Lisa's the worst Simpsons character, and I think I have to just go with Futurama because who doesn't love Zap Brannigan?
Boo, boo, boo. We do get Zap. We get, good stuff. Good job, Futurama. Yeah, definitely worth my Disney Plus subscription because I'm going back and watching Futurama. Good times. Other TV shows you could be watching at this time are The West Wing, CSI, Roswell, Sopranos, and Angel. Top cartoons at this time was Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Static Shock, Jackie Chan Adventures, and Batman Beyond.
We got some good cartoons. I mean, the Jackie Chan Adventures was delightful. Just delightful. Batman Beyond, the sequel to the Batman the animated series with like all their A talent, just like still making things. And I think that like they're like, it's a very good series if you dive into it. I haven't spent too much time on it. And Static Shock came out of nowhere, big hit, and I'm happy to see it's coming back.
Nice. So. Cool, yeah. What top movies around this time is? You get, this week we had Bedazzled and Dolphins, it was a documentary. Pay It Forward, Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Still in theaters, you could see Billy Elliot, Meet the Parents, and Remember the Titans. If you waited a few weeks, you could see Charlie's Angels, Men of Honor, Legend of Bagger Vance, and How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Oh, okay. Interesting little plethora of movies here. I mean, like a Blair Witch 2, because that needed to happen.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Bedazzled with Halle Berry.
Nope.
No, not Halle Berry.
Elizabeth
Hurley. Excellent. Always delightful. And I mean, she's gorgeous in that and hilarious. And man, Hugh Grant was a fool. But some other things, just actually go on the movie side. It's like, some very 90s style movies creeping into the early 2000s. So yeah. We get what we get.
Yeah. Cool. How about top video games? So released in October were Skies of Arcadia, Pokemon, Gold and Silver, Heyo, Time Splitters, Mega Man, Legends 2, Ridge Racer 5, we had that game, Spiral, Year of the Dragon, SSX, and Tekken Tag.
Lots of good games.
Yeah. So like we definitely were playing games at this point. So like why weren't we higher on Majora's Mask when it came out? I don't know.
I think I know. But I'll save that.
Okay, cool. And then finally we'll end with the Billboard top 3 songs just to make sure they hit all the beats. So we get the first one, Doesn't Really Matter by popping a little bit. Oh my gosh, the treble on that song was way up there.
But you know what? Happy to see Janet.
So that's good. We always have to have Janet or Mariah Carey on these. This is your first show ever. It's kind of how we roll. So number 2 is Music by Madonna. Except Music, Madonna. Did I spell Madonna? Or not a song that pops up?
Oh, it's the lots of electronic, like, do you want to? Yeah, that one.
Yeah, like
that's the one. Music.
Yeah.
Makes the bourgeoisie.
Is that like a different song that goes by?
Who knows? It's Madonna. All her songs sound the same.
Yeah, but like I typed Music Madonna into iTunes and
because it's probably coming up as like, oh, do you want to search music from Madonna?
No, I want. What do we go here? I mean, all right, you get it. Obviously, we'll just move on. Strange. Anyways, how about the number 1 song was "Come On Over" by Christina Aguilera. And I'm speaking like this because I was come on over, baby. Search. The Kid Bops. Are you freaking come on over, baby? Chris. Hey, we found it. Yeah, you get the premise. There you go.
Yep. I heard that song.
All right.
I was like, I don't know the song by the name, but as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Cool, yeah. So that is the pop cultural landscapes. You're probably like, I remember when those came out. That's when this game came out. So first memories, like we were saying at the top. I don't know if I remember it, so I'm going to read through my notes, and then Tyson can kind of give his input, and we'll see you there. So for the amount of love that Ocarina of Time had in my life, I'm surprised that it did not translate into hype for this game. I recall seeing a scary commercial for this game that featured a time limit and the moon falling, and maybe the Hardy Boys were in it from like wrestling, which I liked wrestling at the time. I'm not sure why this was like not being like, oh Mick, go play this. Just not translate to excitement. We must have rented this game at some point, and there was a weird save file or about this kid that drowned or something like that, and like I was haunted for a little bit. No, just kidding. But the save file, it was at like Snowhead Temple, and it was kind of confusing to jump into it, so I started my own play file, but it just didn't feel right. And then I know there was like a Zora Egg section. We played through that part, like the Great Bay Temple, at a birthday party. That was kind of probably my first immersion into the game. We got into this game at some point, but you needed an expansion pack, so that was like another barrier that you needed, another $40 you had to kind of ditch out, and weird concept. Anyways, yeah, Tyson, do you have any kind of like first memories of this game?
I seem to remember when it came out. I don't think, we definitely weren't like the ones that played it. We ended up getting it later on, and we're like, oh, cool, Majora's Mask. Now we can finally play this game. I feel like I played it at my friend down the road, like by the church. I think he had it, and we played it at and had a pizza party. And we got to where we're going to be getting to in this, this kind of in our podcast. But I think that we definitely were so lost and confused. And this game, I think maybe the hype wasn't. It was because it was a confusing game. Like people didn't really know how to take it or how to like. Because but there probably wasn't a lot of people finishing this game within the first couple of weeks of it coming out to be like, oh my goodness, you need to play this game. I sat at home and played it all weekend. It's like, no, you need to kind of like think and figure things out. And I don't understand how like the clairvoyance of this game, not clairvoyance, the conveyance. Yeah, the conveyance of this game is really not great. To a point where sometimes you just need to be standing in the right spot to have something happen so that you can unlock something or get something. It just, unless you had a guide, this game is so hard. Yeah. So I feel like in the modern age, now that we all have Google, you don't need to buy the strategy guide, but you almost need like someone with a strategy guide while you're playing this game for the very first time to kind of have the same conveyance that you would have by just playing like Ocarina of Time by yourself. If that makes any sense. Yeah, no,
that for sure makes sense. And it did seem like there was kind of these weird like barriers, right? So, I mean, for example, for this time, I knew in August of 2000, we got Paper Mario, and it kind of worked, but obviously we didn't have an expansion pack. So, like in my mind, there was this big hurdle of getting the expansion pack, which upgraded its ROM or something like that. Again, $40, and it just didn't allow you to play certain games. So, like, Perfect Dark, I don't know if it needed it, but I feel like Perfect Dark, Donkey Kong 64, Majora's Mask were just kind of those ones that sort of missed us, whereas we were like Paper Mario fans, right? So I wonder if that was something to do with it. I think
or was I playing a lot of Jet Force Gemini at the time?
Something like that, and maybe we're just limited by the when it came out, and I don't know what we would have gotten. The 2000 Christmas might have been Final Fantasy VII. I'm not sure. Maybe Pokemon Yellow? Something like that. Anyways, yeah, strange. Anyways, eventually played it. Watched some Let's Play in university, got more into the game. It's good. It holds up. I like it. But, yeah, definitely kind of a weird one that you need a game. Anyways, so now we kind of know our first experience. We're going to talk about our current experience. So we played through this game with game design, gameplay elements in the forefront. Are you ready for this?
Absolutely.
All right. So I know we didn't talk much about the story in the first Ocarina of Time, and then I kind of like re-recorded my voice, which always sounds different as opposed to when I'm naturally recording with Tyson. There must be some type of like weird like background noise I'm missing. So I'm going to do this full, not do anything in post. So let's get into our Let's Play. So you start out a cutscene showing us riding Epona through the woods as we look for our lost friend. Probably Navi from the first game. She gets spooked and throws us from her back. A mischievous Skull Kid wearing a mask appears, steals our ocarina and horse. We chase after him, make our way through a tutorial section before falling into a great tree. At the bottom, the Skull Kid curses us and turns us into a Deku shrub. As he leaves, one of his two fairies friends gets left behind. She teams up with us, and we are tasked at following a linear path to the base of a great clock. We meet a traveling mask salesman who tells us a Skull Kid stole Majora's mask from him and says he will turn us back to normal if we recover the mask for him. Kind of a action-packed intro to a game.
Yeah, and I like that it just drops us in there, leaves us open for some theories later on down the road. Hint, hint. I think that the beginning is left almost a little open-ended, and you're kind of just like, in a day of Link. Oh, and now he's dropped into an adventure.
Yep.
And I always enjoy that because it's like he's already established character. This is the Link from Ocarina of Time that we're playing. Like there's Epona, everything kind of feels similar, and then all of a sudden we kind of just get sideswiped by this kid who we may have or may not have met before.
Yes. I mean, at this point, we probably didn't know him, although he definitely was a sprite that we met in the last game. And you'll notice even the traveling mask salesman is just the mask salesman from the last game who had a shop. So apparently he lost his shop. Pretty action-packed. You get to see Link's new athletic abilities. So he has kind of a side flip and a front flip when he kind of runs and jumps. So it's kind of neat that they just kind of naturally show you that he does other stuff. And then you get to learn the new controls of, and the handicap really, of the Deku. So you can float around, you can spin, you're a little bit faster, you can jump on water. It's good stuff. But as we leave this under of a great clock, like I said, we find ourselves in Clock Town. We are tasked with solving the mystery of where did Skull Kid go with our Ocarina of Time. We can fully explore the town and each of the 5 areas. You will see that there is an active clock mechanism, and there are 3 days before the moon crashes into the Clock Town. Onto the Great Fairy. If we follow hints, we should be able to visit the Great Fairy in North Clock Town. Discover she is missing one of her parts. Find a stray fairy and reunite her so that she can be fully formed and grant us with a magic power. Pretty exciting.
Yeah, and I think if you actually just, if you look up, you'll see the giant scary moon staring at you. And I think that Tattle is the fairy that's with you. And she actually says, like, oh, we should go see the Great Fairy because, I mean, no one's more powerful from her. And then we see that she's smashed to a billion little versions of her. So it's interesting once we kind of bring her back to peace. She's like, oh yeah, that mask kid, he basically shattered me into a million pieces, and I like scattered my like other parts around. And it's like interesting that this character that we just met is already causing mischief, and one of the most powerful people in the area has already just been majorly affected. So interesting.
That's a good point too. It kind of just hype up the Majora's Mask Skull Kid kind of brings, the brevity of the situation when he is just kind of like goofily messing with these very powerful characters, right, in the Great Fairies, right? And yeah, like I said, it's kind of a fun area. It's pretty harmless. There's not a lot to do, so it is kind of a guiding point. If you listen to the areas, you should in theory get to this. So we get our little magic bar. While first thing we do is when we go outside, we see that there is a big Majora's balloon. If we shoot it, we attract the eye of the leader of a local group called the Bombers. I forget what his name is, but he's the leader. He says, hey, I'll let you join our group, little Deku guy, if you can find hide and seek. So we have to find the 5 hidden bombers throughout town. They're going to challenge us a little bit. We need to use basically our speed, agility, get used to that. Collect a secret code, gain access to their base, use it to gain access to an observatory. Here we can use the telescope to look all over Clock Town. Find the Skull Kid, who's on top of the clock tower and like showing his butt at us, before we get the moon to drop a moon tear. So again, there's not too much you can do now. However, there is a giant balloon staring you dead in the face, which kind of leads to a fun game of hide and seek. It allows us to get just again used to that kind of that speed and agility, explore the town, just get really familiar with it. Because we'll be back in this town, and there's lots of side quests, and you have to kind of get familiar with just the inner workings of this town to be successful. So it's nice that they're doing that in the intro of the game.
Yeah, and they're showing you that there's lots of different hidden areas. and that I think there's a lot more than meets the eye in this game, where Ocarina of Time was much more of an overworld, accomplish this, run back there, accomplish this, and dungeony. This was more side questy and more of talk to each character, get to know them, involve yourself in this world, because you're going to be spending a lot of time in it, and you never know what can be hiding behind every single corner, because there's always something.
Yeah.
And I think that Clock Town is a really neat little layout. It's got everything you need, and even a hidden treasure chest. So if you can find it, and let all the treasure chests restock, so you can always kind of start yourself off with like a nice little package of cash.
Yeah.
So you're never too lost. But it's a good little area, and lots of things to discover over all 3 days, because things change.
Yep.
And time's important.
Yeah. No, for sure. And like Tyson was saying, Majora's Mask, so this is kind of, again, if you look at both parts, it's kind of that mere comparison as we're going to do. We looked specifically just at that Kokiri Forest. It kind of shows you the 3D space. You go to the first dungeon. It kind of shows you there's a dungeon. There's going to be a vertical and a horizontal section. At this point, though, you've played Ocarina of Time. You don't need to learn about the space as much. So they give you just a big area to explore that has interactive elements of it, right? And it's going to be and I think that's kind of the big difference, is just that this game is really focused on that time. They're really kind of driving it into you. They're letting you play through this game. You don't get to speed it up, slow down. There's a night cycle. There's a day cycle. Different things are going to happen. You're going to see a lady get robbed, and you can't stop her at this point, right? If you're in the northern Clocktown area, and that just doesn't really happen in those other ones. So it's kind of neat that they're kind of setting up the importance of this game to begin with. Make sense? Mm-hmm. Did I actually have a point there? Yeah.
Yes. Right. Well, I think it's kind of hard to talk about how literally in depth this is, and how every character and every NPC has their own life for 3 days, and you just get to involve yourself in this world, and you can dive into it, and it's
a different approach rather than just splattering more dungeons and creating a narrative. They were like, well, what are we going to do with the gameplay, and like what can we do with time, right? And look at this cool interactive world that we can make, because the assets are already there. So like, let's be a little bit more in depth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is a nice comparison, like I said, to the other game. Literally was showing you how a 3D world functions and how you function in it. So this is how do you function in a world that has timed elements. Now that we have the moon tier, however, we can trade it for a title deed with the Deku flower near the clock. This gains us access to an upper platform, which means a set of stairs on the midnight of the carnival. So at the end of the third day at midnight, you can gain access to the roof of the clock and come face to face with the Skull Kid himself. He gives you a little prelude about, you're so weak and he'll never give you this back. But a quick bubble to the face gives us our ocarina back. As soon as we grab it, we remember Princess Zelda teaching us the Song of Time, and we can return to dawn of the first day. The mask salesman says, good job, teaches us the Song of Healing, which returns us to normal. We gain access to the Deku Scrub mask and transformation ability. However, the angry mask salesman is pretty peeved because we did not retrieve Majora's Mask for him. Yikes. So now it's time to chase the Skull Kid around Termina!
Very cool. I love this opening section. Like the first 3 days, and then you reset it and you get your first mask. And it's cool, like you actually get the powers of... So it's very neat in the way that Zelda games do their weapons.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the times, sometimes the weapons are like... Unfortunately, one of the weaknesses of let's say, Link to the Past, each weapon is essentially used in one dungeon, and then it's kind of passed along. And that seems to be a very reoccurring thing, where sometimes items or key items aren't reused, whereas in this game, the focus is on the world and be involving yourself in the world. So they give you the powers of one of the races of this world, and they let you experience the world through their eyes as well as through the eyes of Link. So not only are they messing with time, but they're also messing with how your perspective of these worlds are. Like certain characters will treat you differently if you're dressed as a Deku shrub, or if you're dressed as Link. Like the guards won't let you outside, or the dog will try to attack you. Like it's very interesting to let you view this world that they built from all these different angles. And each angle was kind of thought out thoroughly from the developer. So as the player, you don't even really think about it. It's because it's just there. But for them, that's so much work to actually have to kind of like process it. Like, how do these people react to the Deku Shrub versus how do they act to Link or like maybe some other characters down the road? But it's neat that the focus is on the world and the key items involve the world.
Yes.
If that makes sense.
No, very well said. And like, yeah, exactly. What were my points here? They show us that the area map, they kind of teach us how to interact with people. And then people are going to change kind of throughout those days, allow us to kind of explore the new controls safely, and we get to solve puzzles in true Zelda fashion, and even get to fight our first mini-boss, if you want to call Skull Kid that, so it's kind of fun. But yeah, no, I think it's a great little introduction to this game, just kind of as we've been talking about, as compared to the others, right? So, good stuff. Can't wait to keep on rolling.
I can't wait to see what we discover next.
Cool, yeah. So I think our next, in a month's time, will be on part 2. We're looking at the Southern Swamp and Snowhead areas, I think is kind of where we're trying to get to. So, cool, and look at some development details. Hoo boy indeed. I'm on to, I think, a reoccurring segment we have to continue is our mysterious areas of Termina? There's probably some really creepy ones I can find on here. Are you ready for it? Are you scared?
I'm ready.
All right. So we're going to do these new segments on these shows. I'm going to discuss mysterious locations throughout Termina. And our first one, we're going to look at the Bombers Hideout. This narrow passage leads through the sewers of Clocktown and lead very few men in single file along a water-filled pathway to an observatory. What was the purpose of such a tunnel? What was it? Was it meant as a sentry to look over the city to ensure threats don't come from the north, south, or west? Or was it used for science to view the stars and gain a better understanding of the universe? Perhaps there were other notable locations in Termina that will help us better understand what were they trying to achieve with the observatory. Whatever the answer is, why was it abandoned? Why do the Bombers now claim it as their own? Mysterious, isn't it?
It is. I always like the Bombers Hideout. I think it's a neat area.
Yeah.
And I know that it's kind of cool. It's kind of creepy. There's some monsters down there. So it feels like it's definitely, this is almost forgotten.
Yep.
And I feel like the Bombers discovered this as like a bunch of kids. And now they're like, oh, well, no one kind of goes down this greasy, scary looking hallway that seems to smell like the sewers, but actually like leads somewhere important. So I feel like it's like a long forgotten, and there's definitely a long history of why this settlement is. But it's interesting that it's Clocktown has the observatory. It's not like there's not like a king or a castle. It's just a clock town with a clock.
Yeah.
So why would this clock need this observatory? So
I don't know. Maybe other places we'll have to dive into. Maybe I'll write that down. The clock tower itself. Why? What's its purpose? What's it trying to accomplish? It's interesting. Cool. So now that we're kind of diving a little bit of the mystery that it is this game, I think it's only fair. I mean, I know we're going to do a little bit of spoilers, but I'm guessing, again, you probably played this game. You probably know that Link transforms into a Deku and then a Goron and then a Zora. Spoilers. Mask powers. We're going to do a battle royale of Links. I thought this was a good place for it because I did a character study in the first one, and then that kind of fell off as the series progressed. So, battle royale. So we used to do this. Then we stopped. Let's start again. Previously in the battle royale, we gave the Beast from A Link to the Past / the Oracle games and Awakening the Crown. Let's revisit this battle and see where everyone stands. We've got 4 Links going on today. So we have the Link from the Minish Cap. He's just a solo guy. He has experience. He has 6 dungeons. His total attack power is 5. His health and defense is 14 hearts and a defensive tunic. And his wild card skill is the ability to shrink. Okay?
Okay.
Right.
Interesting.
Okay, so then we've got Ocarina of Time / Majora's Mask Link. And I think this might have been order of timeline? I don't know why I did it in this way. His experience is he's got 13 dungeons. So 9 from Ocarina of Time and 4 from Majora's Mask. So 13 in total. His attack power is 4. So he's actually weaker than the Minish Cap. Weird. He's got 20 hearts plus Nairu's Love, which is a defensive shield. And his wildcard skills is the use of masks, specifically the transformation masks.
That's a good one. That's a good wildcard skill to have, because there's one mask that I think is really OP. So
yeah. All right. How about A Link to the Past / Oracle / Awakening Link. So experience, he has, quick math, 35 dungeons, so 10 from A Link to the Past, plus 16 from the Oracle games, that gives him 26, plus 9 from the Awakenings, which if my math is correct, that's 35 dungeons. So he's done lots. His attack power is 8 with the Golden Sword from A Link to the Past. He has 20 hearts plus rings / defensive cane and cape. All right. And his wildcard skills are the Pegasus boots for great speed, rings, and he can jump with the Rock's Feather.
And he does have the ice and fire rod.
He does have a lot of spells. So, and then finally, A Link, the Legend of Zelda 1 / The Adventures of Link on the NES. So he has 16 dungeons, so he's up there. He's got 5 attack power in the magical spells. He's got 16 hearts plus the upgrades from Zelda 2 and the defensive magic spells. Okay. And the wild card skills is he uses the Triforce of Courage / he has the Thunder spell, which is a screen nuke. So those are our 4 combatants. Do you want to just logic our way to who's going to win this?
I think so. So Minish Cap, I think, would lose hands down.
He's the weakest, doesn't have the best defense, has the least experience.
Worst ability, but he's a shrink and maybe get stepped on.
Yeah.
Not great. Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, like Fierce Deity. So like he would put that on.
Yep.
For sure, because that's his strongest form, Fierce Deity. So essentially, it would be like, can Link from A Link to the Past or like the original Link take down Majora's Mask Fierce Deity form?
That is the question we're left with, as well as, I mean, you could even change the atmosphere, right? So if we put into a hot atmosphere, he could transform into a Goron. Right, and now he's invulnerable to lava. He can kind of use the speed of the Goron and the power of the Goron to overpower him. Underwater, he's got the agility and kind of strength of the Zoras, so now he's got the advantage. He also has, in theory, if he wanted to move a little quicker, he could swap into a Deku, kind of fly around, drop Deku nuts on them. He's pretty versatile. I think the original Link, I think A Link to the Past Link is just stronger than A Link from the NES games, right? So we'll just give it that. So really, it kind of comes down to A Link to the Past versus Ocarina of Time. Advantage, A Link to the Past for more experience. Attack power. I mean, the Golden Sword looks stronger, but like we were talking about, I think great the Fierce Deity's mask probably nullifies it, right?
Yeah. I also think that, so like the original Link essentially has a screen nuke that he can drop once.
Yes.
So if they can survive the screen nuke, you're good.
Yeah.
And both of them have plenty of health. So yeah, he's definitely third. So in my eyes, it's like, could you use like the Pegasus boots in combination with the like ice rod to freeze him? If he's in like Fierce Deity's form, or if he's in like Goron form or Deku? Like if he's a Deku, you could just use like the fire rod. So Zora form, I mean, like, not the most defensive minded. It's such a toss up. I guess, like, I mean, I think Fierce Deity versus
we've broken it down at this point. We've got kind of, this is the battle, right? How about as we go through the next 2 sections, we look at the Deku's abilities a little bit more in their own environment, and then the Goron in their own environment, and then we look at the Zora as we kind of move forward, and this is just like a running trend, and we kind of see where we're leaning. So like right now, would you say if there was a needle, are you kind of more in the middle? Because I would say I'm more in the middle between these 2 characters right now. We'll see if maybe as we move through, if it like shifts one way or the other.
Yeah, I also can't remember too much off the top of my head of, does the Fierce Deity drain energy?
He might use magic, but and
that's what I'm thinking. Because if he does use magic, that changes a little bit of the argument. Because the Pegasus boots is essentially just like agility to 1,000.
Yeah, and he can jump
and
too.
Rock's Feather.
Yeah, and he's got
so
that.
it's like, and so I mean, like, yeah, I think that's a good idea, because I'm pretty much with you. I'm kind of in the middle and being like, I need more information before I can decide one way or the other for sure.
Cool. Well, I'm glad we did it early, and this can be a running thread, and then maybe we can like readdress it on the tail end and go from there. So cool. Yeah, so that's kind of our intro into the Battle Royale. We did not give you a conclusion today. We just set up the challengers, talked about it. It's like a pre-game show, or like a podcast that talks about a big fight the week before. We don't know what's going to happen until these 2 actually go up against each other. So good stuff.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we got to see these guys at the end of their journeys after they have all their experience.
Yeah,
So
sweet.
might be something we need to kind of keep touching on.
Nice. Look, we actually talked about the story this time instead of just the gameplay. It's already improvement from Ocarina of Time. So, good stuff. At least, I think we're aiming for about 5 of these shows. So, 20% of the way done. Done.
Wow, amazing.
Awesome. So we'll be back in 2 weeks with our numbered show. I think we're doing Pokemon Snap. You know that because we mentioned it 2 weeks ago. So that's exciting. And then in a month's time, you get our second part of this. Keep on rocking and rolling. So Tyson, did we miss anything?
James Bond.
And other than that, I think we say goodbye and see you guys in a little bit. Bye.
Bye.